How I fell in love and married Asiwaju Tinubu. Ooh, the presidency love story is about to hit our ears. Grab a popcorn, the news in detail. First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu reveals their love story. When her husband turned 60 in March 2012, the news magazine did a special publication on him entitled Asiwaju, The Untold Story of the Leader. She was among the people who interviewed for the publication. Below is the interview Ademola Adegbamige and Bamidele Johnson of the News had with the First Lady, Senator Oluremi, that year. They asked, "What attracted you to your husband?" She replied, I saw Asiwaju. I saw his Asiwaju Tinubu's eyes and thought he has a very kind eyes. That was one of the things that attracted me to him. I believe that from the eyes one can know the mind of a person. I think he got me with his eyes and they were very kind and penetrating eyes, and that was how we started. He was serious about his job and had lofty plans for the future. He didn't say things you would hear from most guys when he met me. He just said, I don't have a lot of money, but I love to help people. So I thought that we had to cut the chase and was ready to settle down for the real business. I just thought that somebody was trying to introduce me to a journey, and I concluded that it was a journey I wanted to be a part of. I am generous in my own little way, and from that angle, I thought it would be quite interesting to go along with. They asked, "Well, how would you describe President Bola Tinubu as a man, husband, father to the children?" She replied, as a man, he is very courageous and hardworking. He is also very loyal to his friends and always ready to sacrifice himself for others. Describing him as a husband is going back into the years because we have been through different things in life, which we grew and adjusted to. He knew what he wanted from the beginning, but I had a different picture of things when we got married. But as time went by, I was compelled to adapt. I believe that as one lays one bed, so one lies on it. It took a while for me to adjust because my concept of marriage and expectations were high. But with time, I was able to settle down and understand what marriage was all about. I wrote about my early experience in marriage in a little coffee table book I wrote some time ago. He later became my best friend. I love him a lot and I think he loves me too. If he didn't, we would not have come this far. So the feeling is quite mutual. I respect him and can call him a good provider. He loves himself and his family. I have come to understand that love is a basic ingredient in a marriage, and the moment I started understanding the concept of love, I began to understand more what living together entails. With him, I found the love of God and the concept of love in its totality, and I can say that I found a place of rest and fulfillment. He is not a man that complains and has a huge heart of forgiveness. How did the love affair begin? I know what it is. I know that is what most people want to hear. And it is quite strange. Initially, I felt like an alien from another planet. It was my sister who introduced me to him. He was a friend to the family even before he traveled abroad. And then I already had graduated from the university and had started working. My sister became worried that I was always keeping to myself. I am naturally not an outgoing or sociable person. I love fashion, I love to dress well. She matched the two of us and we didn't really have a long courtship before we got married. I realized that I was in a relationship that requires seriousness and not one to play around with. For me, it is either a relationship is working from the beginning or not. He saw me and thought that I was a wife material. I was interested too and realized he had a good job. They asked, was it love at first sight when you met him? She replied, the first thing to know is that attraction that brought the two of us together. Though I didn't remember who he was anymore, my sister tried to remind me. I saw his eyes and thought he has very kind eyes. That was one of the things that attracted me to him. I believe that from the eyes one can know the mind of a person. I think he got me with his eyes, and they were very kind and penetrating eyes, and that was how we started. He was serious about his job and had lofty plans for the future. He didn't say things that you will hear from most guys when he met me. He just said, I don't have a lot of money, but I love to help people. So I thought we had to cut the chase and settle down and was ready to settle down for the real business. I just thought that somebody was trying to introduce me to a journey and I concluded that I wanted to be part of. I am generous in my own lady way and from that angle I thought it would be quite interesting to go along with. They asked, did you at the beginning not any fear that his outgoing nature could predispose you to some hurt? She replied, at that time of my life at 25 years, I was quite confident of myself. There are a lot of tricky things when going into a relationship. Yes, I thought to myself that I was gorgeous and all that, but as time went by, I realized that those things didn't really matter when both parties settled down to a real relationship. I'm quite homely and not the jealous type, and I think it really helped. I believe that it was enough to feel love for him. He was really an outgoing type and a disc jockey. He was telling somebody some time ago that he wasn't really bad in those days. Did you face any competition for him? They asked. She replied, I didn't compete for his heart. I don't do competition. I'm very confident of who I am. I think he had some people he was dating, but he felt he met the right woman when he met me. I wouldn't say I really competed with anyone to have him. If there is anything I hate, it's fighting over a man and an environment where such is happening. I always believe that the way a woman presents herself to a man is the way the man sees her. He showed some respect at the time, and I felt that was adequate. I wasn't the type that would barge into a man's house uninvited. So whenever I was going to see him, he usually knew I was coming. My mother equally warned me about barging into a man's house without invitation, and that was the advice I took from home and applied into my relationship. She asked, okay, they asked, did anyone put some pressure on you to reconsider your position on the basis of the difference of in your religion? She asked. She answered, yes, my dad did, though I was born into an Anglican family. I wasn't a born again Christian and wasn't the really church going type. We were raised as Christians. One of the things my dad told him when we visited him was not to stop me from being a Christian. I can tell you now that I'm a better Christian now because of my relationship with him. I would say that I know God more now than before. Maybe I would have been drawn away from the things of God if it had started as a lovey-dovey affair. He was a man who is set in his ways and knew where he was going, unlike myself who was just playing with life and didn't know my right from my left. With that, one needs a balance, and I can say that it became a plus for me to know more about God, which has helped in stabilizing my home. They asked, how did you react when your husband told you he was leaving the corporate world for politics? She replied, you know, things just don't happen. When I met him with a lot of people. His house was always full of people, and he told me from the beginning of our relationship that he loved to help people. I was always the one to entertain them, and I was always one to stay away in the television room. He knew I loved my privacy. He married me when he was in the corporate world, which was steady and peaceful. It was fun attending banquet with him. He was moving up the ladder in his career, and the future was bright. But with a lot of political inclination and mama's influence, you would know that anything could come in anytime. He would always sponsoring politicians before he eventually joined in. It was very difficult for me to adjust to the fact that people coming into our house when he became a politician. But it didn't make much difference because I met him with a lot of people at the beginning. So it became my duty to welcome people, and he would always remind me to make them comfortable. While I did all that, I was never scared of new challenges, and that is one of the things that have made the marriage quite interesting. All right, on this note, we've come to the end of the news. So thank you for tuning in to listen. Until I come your way next time, enjoy the rest of your day.